Good morning. The Committee on Parole is now convening at the Orleans Justice Center. Just stand by, we gotta take care of our audio. Yeah? Yes. Would the staff at the Justice Center please introduce yourself to the record, sir?
Yes, good morning, Parole Board. My name is Deputy C. Tate, and I have with me Mr. Henry Chairs.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name is Henry Chairs. My DOC number is 556942.
Sir, and you have joining us this morning by Zoom is your counsel. Sir, would you introduce yourself for the record? I'm sorry, your microphone's on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. Your audio is a little staccato. I don't know why. It comes and goes. I'll just point that out. I could hear most of what you were saying. It wasn't from him. His audio came in beautiful. It was the board's audio. But anyway, my name is Joseph Bartels, and I do represent Mr. Henry Chairs.
Hey, Mr. Bartels, thank you. Is the audio better now?
It is. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we had some feedback. I think we corrected that issue.
Sure.
So, Mr. Chairs, you have also joining us by Zoom your sister Jessica, your girlfriend Jessie Dricker, your brother Montero Urson, and Antoine Chairs, also your brother. Ms. Chairs will be speaking on your behalf. And Mr. Bartels, if I'll read the allegations against him, and we'll do the interview with him and hear from those who indicated they'd like to speak, and then we'll turn it over to you at the end for your presentation. Is that okay with you?
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
And so, Mr. Chairs, you have should have a parole revocation questionnaire. Have that form? Doesn't look like it. Can we put that up on the screen? Maybe I would put the form up on the screen. There you go, that page. So that's the parole revocation questionnaire you were presented, Mr. Chairs. Is that your signature at the bottom of that page dated September 1st of this year?
I really can't see it because it's behind y'all. It's behind y'all screens.
Okay, probably see if we can. There, can you see it now?
No, ma'am. Yes, I had got a glimpse of it. Yes, that's my signature.
That's your signature. Okay. So I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which she'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll start the interview process. So we're here for a revocation decision being accused of violating conditions of parole, specifically condition number 2. Failed to report as directed on the following dates: June 11th, 2021, November 9th, 2021, December 22nd, 2021, January 19, 2022, January 5th, 2022, February 4th, 2022, February 10th, 22, May 5th, May 12th, May 18, May 19, 2022, June 6th, 22, July 8th, and 12th, 2022. So, Mr. Chairs, how do you plead to violating condition number 2?
I pleaded guilty.
There's condition number 3. You left the state of Louisiana as evidenced by your arrest on August 4th, 22 in the state of Alabama by Baldwin County Sheriff's Office, according to the driver of your vehicle that you are a passenger in on August 4th. You both were traveling from Atlanta, Georgia, where you were visiting female friends for 2 days. How do you plead to violating condition number 3?
I plead not guilty.
If there's condition number 4, You were engaged in criminal activity on August 8, 22. You were arrested and charged with certain persons forbidden to possess a pistol, reckless endangerment, and attempt to elude. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
I pleaded not guilty.
Number 5, on August 8, 22, you were found to be in possession of a disassembled Glock pistol along with a .40 caliber pistol rim in your pocket. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
I plead not guilty.
Condition number 6, you failed to get your employment, if any, approved by your parole officer. How do you plead to violation condition number 6?
I plead guilty.
Condition number 8, you were discharged from the day reporting center on 2 separate occasions for failing to report as directed. How do you plead to violating condition number 8?
I pleaded guilty.
This is condition number 8 also. You failed to make yourself available for drug and alcohol screenings by missing your scheduled appointments on June 11, 21, November 9th, 21, December 22nd, 21, January 19, 22, May 18, 22, and June 6, 22. How do you plead to violating?
I pleaded guilty.
Lastly, condition number 10. You are currently in arrears of your supervision fees in the amount of $1,123. How do you plead to violation condition number 10?
I pleaded guilty.
You answer Mrs. Wise's questions, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So tell me why I shouldn't revoke you, vote to revoke you today.
Because I learned to understand that I was making a foolish decision. I should have reported to my parole officer. I should have told her that I had a job, and I love my job, and the people at my job love me. I should have just reached out and talked to her. And if I would have just reached out and talked to her, we wouldn't even be here today. So I'm just sorry that I just didn't reach out to her. And if I do get a second chance, I'll make it right and reach out to her the best way I can all the time.
Explain to me why you didn't know that you could have talked to him. Why? Tell me, I guess I'm trying to figure out, what were you thinking? What was your mindset? What was your mindset?
My mindset was before I had got a job, I ain't see her in like a month, and then when I did got the job, I had got a job paying $14 an hour, and I just didn't want to lose the job. And I just always thought the laws was how it used to be. Like, by me not seeing her, by me not reporting to her, by me not paying her, I had to do a 90-day turnaround, and I would have forced to lose my job. But I come to realize that's not the case. If I would have just reached out to her and just told her where I was working at, I would have responded to her calls, been paying my fees, I wouldn't be here today.
So when did you start the job? Do you remember?
At the beginning of this year.
In January of 2022.
Yes, around that time. I'm not familiar with the date, but it's around that time.
Okay. So when she was sending you to the day reporting center, you had a job?
When I first went there, no, I didn't. But that's why she sent me to the day center to get a job. And then when I did got the job, that's when I started reporting to the day center. And
you didn't tell them you had got a job? You didn't tell anybody anything?
I told the people at the day center that I had a job. But
okay.
I told them that I had a job, and then I just by me just not reporting to my parole officer, I just thought that would affect my job, and I just stopped going.
Okay, because you were reporting by phone, right? I mean, you were y'all were reporting on the phone, right? You could just call, right?
No, the day center, I had to go in and talk to them. I had to go to face to
I
face.
know that, and I'm talking with your officer, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. So you reported to your officer, you guys reported by phone, right? During that time, right? All you had to do was call her?
Yes,
Do the,
that's all I had to do is just call them. That's
call
all I
her,
had.
do the, what they call that? What is it called? What is that called? The duel? What was it? You remember?
The door, no, she used to come to my house and see me, and I used to go to the office and talk to her.
But y'all did the duel for a while though, right?
No, ma'am, I never talked to her on door.
Oh, okay, well, good, okay, all right. I've read so many cases before. It is unfortunate that you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So because you have been working since January, you have accumulated a little money, so you could travel. They would go to Atlanta and travel for a living, huh? But you
Ma'am,
just wasn't paying your fees. You didn't pay anything though.
I didn't pay anything. No, ma'am.
But you were making $14 an hour, and that's concerning for me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't have to go in to pay that. You could have, there was an electronic way of paying your fees. You know that, right?
Yes, I had my people to do it for me because I don't know how to read or write, so I just get the money to my people and let them send it for me.
Oh, okay. So you don't know if they did it or not.
From my understanding, they was doing it, and then when I started reporting and stop reporting to my parole officer, everything had to shut down.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's all I had, sir. That's all I had. Thank you for answering my question. Okay.
Mr. Chairs, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Did you have a travel permit approved by your parole officer when you went to Atlanta, Georgia?
No, sir.
Did you have permission from your parole officer when you left the state of Louisiana and went to Atlanta, Georgia?
No, sir.
No, felon is prohibited from carrying a legal or a dangerous weapon.
No, sir. I did not.
Sir, are you aware that no type of dangerous weapon, knife, gun, or anything that considered dangerous weapon, you are forbidden to have it in your house or your car or on your person? You realize that?
Yes, sir.
That was in your parole contract, and you signed it.
Yes, sir.
And you were stopped in the state of Alabama and arrested. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And one of the charges was a firearm was in the car. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And then there was another firearm that was in your pocket at the time of your arrest. Is that correct?
That what the police said, sir.
That's what they said. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So are your charges in Alabama still pending, do you know? Resolved.
Yes, ma'am.
Still pending. Okay. All right, well, let us hear from your sister, Miss Jessica Chairs.
Yes, ma'am.
I am the sister of Lahiri Chairs. He's an amazing brother. He turned his life around for the better. He came a long way. He's been working. His job is willing to take him back. He's been a big help to the family. We love and care about him so much. He deserves a second chance.
Thank you for taking the time. Looks like you're at work, so thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairs, is there anything you'd like to say before we turn it over to Mr. Bartels, your lawyer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Bartels.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of Mr. LaChairs. I've had an opportunity to speak to him to a great extent. I've had an opportunity to look over quite a bit of information. One of the things I was not given that I believe I was, I should have been given, as it was available to the state, to the parole officer, was a copy of the police report that was generated by the Alabama police. It would have been helpful for the defense today, but that was not something that, even though I asked for it, was not given to me. I had a chance to look at it momentarily at a preliminary parole violation hearing conducted at the jail several weeks ago. And I'd like to bring this to the attention of this honorable board. One, Mr. LaChairs had someone in the car who was driving. And this is what I learned most recently. Both Mr. LaChairs and this other gentleman were driving from Atlanta towards New Orleans. When Mr. LaChairs was driving first, and it got to sometime around the point where he entered Alabama, they pulled over, and Mr. LaChairs gave up the driving responsibility, and the other gentleman took over the driving responsibilities. So this incident that took place, that initiated the traffic stop, was caused specifically by the gentleman who was driving. Now, I got to say, what they did was foolish. They should have gotten permission. Mr. LaChairs knows this. I'm sorry, I call him Mr. LaChairs. Sorry, Mr. Chairs, Henry Chairs. Mr. Chairs knows he did something really foolish by not getting the permission of the parole officer. And we talked about it at a great length as to what he was supposed to do and how he was supposed to conduct himself in the future. Now, whether you provide assistance in letting him out or not, he knows what he's got to do should you let him out. The next thing is, he was unaware of a gun being in the car. And the gentleman last spoke, Mr. Roche, I believe it was, asked about whether he knew that there was a gun in the car or whether there was a gun in his pocket. The fact of the matter is that the police alleges that there was a .40 caliber bullet in his pocket, not a gun, not a knife. And I suggest to you that there is a difference, but as far as the gun is concerned, the gun was in a disassembled state, belonged to the driver. It was in a bag or some kind of enclosure and in the trunk of the car. It was not accessible to Mr. Chairs. It was not a fully operable gun. As a matter of fact, disassembled and not even with all the pieces. And that was the important thing I'd like to have had in the police report to learn more about what the police officer alleges that they did find. If there's no slide, if there's no receiver, if only there is some parts in there, as silly as it would be for two people who have a criminal record, as silly as it might be, it was nonetheless an inoperable weapon and could not be assembled from the parts that were there to be operable. Again, I would never recommend to my client that he gets anywhere near a gun in any way, shape, or form. But that is actually the truth. There are other issues involved in this matter out of Alabama, specifically I don't know. Are you aware at all of Mr. Chairs attempting to retrieve his cell phone? May I ask the board that?
No, ma'am, no, sir.
Okay, then it's not important for us to go through it at this time. All of that is part and parcel of what's going on in Alabama. From what I've seen, he's in a car. He's being driven at a high rate of speed. They foolishly get behind an Alabama State Patrolman and almost rear end him. and the car goes around and decides to go ahead and run from the police. I'm not going to consider that to be anything but stupid. Pardon me for saying it like that. But it was not Mr. Chaz that did it. So now just imagine yourself being chased by an Alabama State Patrolman, all right? And the tires are punctured, the car goes off to the side. What do you think? And I don't want to get into race issue and that kind of stuff, but what do you think a black man in Alabama who's running for police officer, what do you think might happen to him if he gets caught? It might not be nice. But, and so that's the only issue I can come up with as a, what do you call it, mediating factor as far as him running once the car has stopped. But he was asleep at the time this incident started, and that's the only thing I have to say in mediation for what necessarily took place. I think the gentleman's got a darn good job. He's a cook, and I'm trying to find the actual name of the restaurant, but the owner did send in a letter and said what a wonderful guy he is. And I don't know if you've got it. I certainly wouldn't have sent it to you, but I have gotten that from his girlfriend. And I don't know if she's on or not, but she might want to speak to that issue, having received the original of that letter. But he did get a good job. And man, if there's anything at all that we need to have for the people to come before you, is somebody with a good job. As far as the money, I don't know how you address the fact that he should have paid something out of each check, but his lack of communication with the current parole officer needs to be improved. He had another probation officer before that didn't come up in the questions, but they seem to have gotten along fine. There was no problem at all. I don't know what necessarily took place. I'm not suggesting anything bad at all. It's all about, you got somebody you're working with and they understand you and you understand them, and all of a sudden you got somebody new up there. And by the way, I've met her. She's a wonderful lady. So I can't say anything bad about her. And she was pretty straightforward, helped with my understanding of the case. And all I can suggest now is I really like to see this guy have a second chance. And if indeed it turns out he's convicted in Alabama, you may have to readdress this. I don't know. But right now, he's got an attorney there, paid for attorney. His girlfriend is helping him with that. And I believe he's got a chance from what I've seen, specifically with what I know about, and you don't know about, the cell phone, it's being in possession of the police officer, and how the police officer was found to have that cell phone days after it should have been turned into evidence and what is it called? Property and evidence, we call it in New Orleans. So that's what I got. I submit it with everything I've said, and thank you very much for your consideration.
Yes, no. Mr. Chairs, it is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I concentrate more on the violations up to the big violation. And when you were on that path, to lead to all this other stuff. And I'm just, because of all this happened, I'm just not willing to think something. My vote is that your parole is revoked based on your guilty pleas and the case documentation, and that your original sentence be served. You spend this time learning what you need to learn to be able to follow the rules when you get out. But that's just my vote. I'm only one vote. That's what she said, sir.
Mr. Chair, I find you guilty of violating conditions number 2, number 3, number 6, number 8, and number 10, your parole supervision contract. Also, the reason for revoking you is that you still have hidden charges in the state of Alabama.
Chairs, I do concur with my colleagues based on the information that is contained in the record and the fact that you pled guilty to violating some of the conditions of your parole also is to revoke. Today, starting with proposed removal.
And if it's up to me to say anything further, I would say I note my objection for the record.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, board. This is Deputy Tate. I have two more gentlemen after Mr. Chairs. Okay.
And is this particular meeting over, ma'am?
I hope they didn't pay a lot for that attorney. For the record, I want to object. Has he ever attended a parole hearing? That was just bizarre, really. What that attorney just did, I don't understand it. Okay, attorneys watching, please tell me, am I wrong, or was that guy just like totally out of his element? He goes off on really what I can only describe as a rant. He brings to the attention a scenario about a cell phone in Alabama that really they have no idea about, so it doesn't mean anything. And actually, it only opened up my imagination to what it could possibly mean. He brings in a mitigating factor by insinuating that it would be racism, which, as an attorney, you just don't know how the board feels about that. And I don't know if that can help. You know, if anything, it might be a coin flip on whether it would help or not help your client. You have someone who is out on parole. He stops contacting his parole supervisor. The attorney then goes on this rant how, well, he was great with his previous parole officer, and then maybe that he just didn't get along with this parole officer, but I met this parole officer and she's great. I was like, okay. He goes on to say that, so he had a 40 millimeter. Well, it was interesting. The Mr. Rocher would get it wrong. There's a very big difference between having a gun in your pocket and having a 40 caliber bullet in your pocket. But, and hey, you know, you, as again, we'll say you play stupid games, you win really dumb prizes. What are you doing leaving the state, which you can't do? What are you doing with not contacting your parole agent? And what are you doing having a gun in the car? And then what are you doing having a bullet in your pocket? There's no excuse for it. What, maybe he found it on the seat and he thought it was cool and he put it in his pocket and he forgot it was there. But so what? You can't feel bad for someone who just does really dumb things. And you know, it seems like he's got I can't make a judgment call on his girlfriend without you know, hearing her talk, but she looked put together and she's paying for his attorneys. And his sister looks like she's got her act together. Again, I couldn't tell from his brother. We don't, you know, but he seems to have all the support and he just keeps blowing it. He can't help himself. But man, that attorney was just straight up unimpressive. I think he said that his client, who he mispronounced his name, I think he said 3 or 4 times that he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. He's really doing a good job. He didn't have off the top of his head his name right. He didn't know that his girlfriend was right there on the call. You can't see her on the Zoom call. She's the one paying your bill. You better know she's on the call. I'm sorry, I get fired up when I just see things that really just are appalling to me. Um, he's saying I'd like to see him get a second chance. That's such I'll say a noob thing to say. You're on parole. That is your second chance. Like, I understand when the parolee says I need a second chance, they don't know better, but your attorney shouldn't say he needs a second chance. He doesn't have the letters from his boss there. Like, I just don't get it. I really, again, hope they didn't pay him much. And if there are any attorneys out here that have a perspective that want to share it, or maybe all of you just tell me if I'm going overboard on this one. Now, to his credit, I don't think there was anything really they could have done. Maybe it would have just been by trying to come up with some type of better excuse about why he didn't report. Being prepared for why the bullet could have been in his pocket versus just denying it. Well, that's what they were playing, kind of like the whole bad cop thing. They're playing that card. That's what the police said. So they planted a bullet in his pocket. And the parole board is just not going to jump in. They're just not going to eat that. They're not going to play that game. I don't know. It's just not what they're going to do. So you're like going up, you're fighting the wrong battle. And I don't think, it just doesn't seem very advisable to take that approach, because what are the odds that they're going to work? I probably would have approached it as, he's been holding a job. He's been staying sober. He's, there's no drug test that came up. He's been keeping this job. Get his boss to show up and talk for him, or make sure that letter is read. Talk about the support that he has with his girlfriend and his family. And then just align the fact that, or come up with the story that he wasn't even aware he was going to Alabama. I don't know. Or don't even bring that up. But just talk about the things that he has going for him. Not this whole, like, okay, that's enough from my rant. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And with that, I will let you go.